If you're just wandering around Whiterun, you might eventually hear this conversation between Amren and his wife, and in this conversation we learn that Amren has had his family heirloom, or his family sword, stolen from him. Now this is just a radiant miscellaneous quest in the game, and you can be sent to various locations to retrieve his sword. However, perhaps the best location you can be sent to is White River Watch. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to Unexplored Skyrim. Today we're going to be checking out White River Watch. Now I did cover this location in my Whiterun video, so if you saw this location here, you might not be so interested in this video because we'll be talking about some of the same things, just perhaps a bit more detail about the location. Now, as I said, Amren will send us to a random place to find his sword, and this is one possible area. Now, this location has a lot of environmental storytelling, and the bandits here are just not normal bandits because they have some unique dialogue that gives a lot of character to this place. Now, the reason Amren will not get the sword himself is because, well, his wife won't let him because she's afraid they don't have the money to fund such an expedition, so we'll just simply do it out of the good of our hearts to get his sword back. Now, White River Watch is located due east of Whiterun, just on the other side of the White River. Now, as you approach, there's going to be this fishing equipment near the river. I just thought it was really cool, really awesome. Probably one of the nearby farmers or one of his family members are fishing here for some extra food or some money. You can even use the fishing supplies if you have a fishing rod. Now, as we swim across, there is a clay deposit. Can find the skeleton, and as we make our way up, we get a truly gorgeous shot of Whiterun off in the distance. But for now, we're going to kill these bandits. You know, they're no good anyways. But on one of them, we can find this interesting note to Rodolph, which reads, "Rodolph, your little stunts try my patience. I know my uncle has issues, but he is our watchman, and you will respect him. No more sneaking in and out. No more games with his ledger or nails on his chair. One more joke, and you'll see how funny a day in the cage can be. Hajvarr." So this tells us a few things. One, Hajvarr appears to be the leader of these bandits, and also there's something weird going on with his uncle. On the top of this platform, we can find another bandit. Now, down at the original area where we found that note, there is a locked chest, so make sure you open it and see what kind of random loot you get. There's also various food on this table, and then we can get a very beautiful scene of Whiterun at sunset. Now, as we enter the cave, we immediately find out about Hajvarr's uncle.
Who's there? Rodolph? That you? Boss was looking for you, said he'd be up at the summit. Better not keep him waiting.
Now, I don't know how well Ulfr actually knew Rodolph, but obviously not that well because he didn't notice the change in voice. We can also find Ulfr's ledger, which is a blank book. So, of course, we're going to take it. It's kind of a unique item within Skyrim, just a blank book. Now, as we continue our way through the cave, make sure you're very quiet to get some pretty cool dialogue.
So, you win?
Yeah. We can't have that rheumy-eyed fool as our watchman, even if he is Hajvarr's uncle. Time we dealt with both of them.
We strike tonight at dusk. Be ready.
So we can see that there's a lot of discontent with this group of bandits. They're even plotting a mutiny against their leader. Wow. Anyways, we can take out these mischievous or rebellious bandits. And in here we can find a chest underneath the rocky ramp. And after that, though, there isn't a whole lot in here. There is a potion that spawns next to the alchemy table. But as we move on to the next area, we again want to tread carefully.
You think it'll work?
Of course not. Dogs I could trade, but a half-starved wolf, not a chance.
Right. Lucky if it doesn't rip our throats out. Is someone there?
Huh? Time to end this little game. Oh well,
That's the
must have
last
run
of
off.
them.
So here we have a really funny scene with these bandits talking about a wolf that somebody obviously wants to train like a guard dog. And you can even pull down that chain to make the wolf attack the bandits. However, the first time I didn't realize that, and I was just going to try and kill the wolf through the cage. However, it doesn't work like that. The wolf just attacked me. The cage opened for whatever reason. I don't know why. Now in the back of the cage, there is a potion of healing, so it's worth picking up. And then we can make our way outside to the top of White River Overlook. And out here, we'll find our good friend Hajvarr. However, Hajvarr is not very kind to us. Don't know what he was doing there. He was thinking about taking out his bow and arrow. And then my companion, Raya, just completely ruined his day, pushed him and herself off the cliff. Thank you very much for dealing with that problem. Then after that, we can loot this chest to find Amren's family sword and other good loot. Now on Hajvarr himself, he has these iron hand gauntlets, which you want to take. They're a unique item within the game. They help you do more damage with two-handed weapons. And we can also find his journal. And his journal is very interesting, and it reads, "Pickings have been good these past few weeks. Must be because of the war. Lots of merchants and cowards looking for somewhere to curl up and hide from all the fighting. I've told the men to ease the burden on these poor souls by relieving them of all that gold they're carrying. Guard patrols along the road are way up. We can barely set foot outside. Travelers must have complained to the Jarl. It looks like the guard isn't ready to move against us yet, but the pressure is getting to the men. I'm having Rajir keep watch with Ulfr now. That should shut them up about our security. Damn that Balgriff. A mutiny. Among my men, I can hardly believe it. Thank the gods Ulfr heard of it in time. He may be blind, but he's not deaf. I killed Amjor myself. A couple of the others ran for it, but we hunted them down quick enough. Only Isa and Rajir got away. Good riddance. There's rumor of a dragon attack on Helgen. A dragon? Hardly. More likely just a story made up by some idiot frightened out of his wits by the war. In any case, the guard seems to have pulled back to the city, so we've been able to run a few decent raids again. One of the merchants had some odd cargo. Bunch of pelts and animals, including a wolf. I let the men roast the other animals, but the wolf I saved. Be handy to have a guard dog like that, if we could just train him a little. And with this journal, everything starts to make a little more sense. We understand why there was a wolf and why some of the bandits were trying to train it. And we can understand why there's a blind man here, and that perhaps Hajvarr is not such a good leader for these bandits. I can see why there's a mutiny. As we enjoyed the nighttime view, it's finally time for us to go back to Amren and to give back his family sword. Now, he doesn't have any gold to reward us with. However, he will reward us by increasing our block skill and one-handed skill by 1. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Unexplored Skyrim. I wanted to cover this location by itself just because I really loved it and I really wanted to give it its time in the spotlight. So here it is. It has a really interesting story to tell with these bandits, and it shows that bandits in Skyrim are not always just copy and paste. They do have some character, and I really like these kind of locations. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for a future video or future idea, please post them in the comment section below. And as always, until next time.